Songs that got banned. Remember when radio stations wouldn't touch this one with a 10-foot pole? Or when this track had the whole country clutching their pearls? There was a time when these songs straight up changed the world, sometimes for the better, sometimes just by making people mad as hell. We're talking about records that society tried to gag, not because they sucked, but because they said stuff a whole lot of folks didn't want to hear. Today, we're digging up the tunes that broke rules, got slapped with bans that look ridiculous now, and the wild stories behind every note they tried to silence. 13. Hurricane by Bob Dylan. 1975. Bob Dylan drops a song that hits America right between the eyes. Hurricane isn't just music, it's a courtroom scream for justice. It tells the gut-wrenching story of Reuben "Hurricane" Carter, a black middleweight boxer framed for a triple murder he didn't commit. Dylan went to the prison, looked the man in the eye, and decided the world had to know the truth. The man the authorities came to blame. Radio stations flat out refused to play it. 8 minutes and 33 seconds of straight up accusations, real names, cops and prosecutors called out by name. They called it libel, dangerous, subversive. Bans popped up in cities across the country, but the crazier they tried to bury it, the harder people hunted it down. Kids taped it off the few stations that dared, passed cassettes hand to hand like contraband. College dorms turned into listening party. Hurricane became bigger than a song. It was pure resistance. Years later, Carter walked free. The music helped pry those prison doors open. Before we roll on, let us know, where are you watching from tonight? Drop it in the comments. Let's keep going. 12. A Day in the Life by the Beatles. I read the news today, oh boy. 1967. The Beatles aren't those cute mop tops in matching suits anymore. They've morphed into something that's starting to scare the hell out of the morality police. I saw a film today, oh boy. A Day in the Life closes Sgt. Pepper like a bomb going off in slow motion. Lennon's singing about reading the morning paper, some guy who blew his mind out in a car, 4,000 holes in Blackburn, Lancashire. Sounds harmless until you actually listen. The BBC banned it on day one, claimed it promoted drug use. They swore "I'd Love to Turn You On" was a straight-up invitation to get high. They missed the point completely. The song wasn't about getting stoned. It was about waking up, seeing the world for the empty, absurd, tragic mess it is while you sip your coffee. That was way more dangerous than any drug. It was pure consciousness. British radio pulled it, a bunch of US stations followed suit, but we still spun it in the dark with headphones on, feeling the whole world shift under our feet. Smash that like if you love at least one Beatles song. 11. Angel of the Morning by Merrily Rush. Just call me Angel of the Morning. Hey. Jump forward 1 year, and here's a woman singing, loud and proud, about spending the night with a guy and walking out the next morning with zero regrets. In 1968, that was straight up scandal material. Angel of the Morning was revolutionary because a woman was owning her sexuality, telling the world, "Just let me go with my head high, Don days." And quote, Don quote. Religious stations banned it without blinking, said it promoted promiscuity, wrecked family values, corrupted young girls. Some stations only played it after 10 at night when the kids were supposed to be asleep. Didn't matter. The song kept whispering to millions of women that it was okay to run their own lives. Merrily never had another hit that big, but this one made her immortal, a quiet anthem for everybody sick of the era's hypocrisy. Puff the Magic Dragon by Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Puff the magic dragon lived by the...
On the surface, it's a kid's story. A dragon by the sea. A little boy named Jackie Paper. Adventures in Honolulu. Sweet, innocent, perfect for campfire sing-alongs. But grown-ups with dirty minds saw something completely different.
Noble kings and princes would bow and it...
When it blew up in '63, authorities swore it was a sneaky ode to weed. Puff was smoking, the dragon was rolling papers, Jackie Paper was, well, you get it. They dissected every line like it was evidence. Peter Yarrow swore up and down it was just a sad little song about growing up and losing childhood magic. Nobody wanted to hear it.
Without his lifelong friend, Puff could not...
Stations yanked it off the air. But the real joke? Little kids were still singing about a lonely dragon who lost his best friend, totally clueless about the grown-up freakout. Censorship turned the most innocent folk song ever into a counterculture badge of honor. 9. Let's Spend the Night Together by the Rolling Stones. 1967. The Stones walk onto The Ed Sullivan Show, the most watched, most family-friendly program in America. Ed gives them an ultimatum: change the lyrics or you don't go on. That title line was way too spicy for living rooms coast to coast. Mick agrees, grudgingly. When the moment comes live on national TV, he sings "Let's Spend Some Time Together," while rolling his eyes so hard the whole country saw the contempt. Made the censorship look even dumber. That performance is legendary, not for the song, but for the middle finger Mick basically gave the censors in front of 60 million people. The Stones never let anybody forget it. We still blasted the real version every chance we got, because it wasn't just about getting laid, it was about nobody telling you what you could feel or want. What's your all-time favorite Stones song? Throw it in the comments. 8. Eve of Destruction by Barry Maguire. 1965. Vietnam's heating up, cities are burning over civil rights, nuclear annihilation feels one button push away. Barry Maguire steps up and sings exactly what everybody's thinking, but too scared to say out loud. Eve of Destruction is 3 minutes of pure rage. No sugarcoating, no comforting metaphors, just haymakers of truth about war, hypocrisy, and dead kids coming home in bags.
We're on the eve of destruction.
Conservative stations banned it the day it dropped, called it anti-American, said it hurt troop morale, basically accused it of helping the communists. Some DJs refused to touch it out of patriotism. Somebody even cut an answer song, Dawn of Correction, trying to debunk every line. It sounded like a bad joke next to the real thing. Truth always hits harder than propaganda. Despite the bans it shot to #1, college protests turned it into their battle cry. Trying to shut it up only made it louder. 7. Give Peace a Chance by John Lennon. Picture this. John Lennon and Yoko Ono in bed in a hotel room. Reporters, friends, guitars everywhere. They called it a bed-in for peace. Half the world thought they'd lost their minds. The other half thought it was genius. Out of that room came Give Peace a Chance. So simple it felt stupid. So direct it scared people. Just one line over and over. It got banned on military bases, pulled from stations across the South. Pro-war groups tried to keep stores from even stocking it. Lennon didn't flinch. He kept recording, protesting, using every ounce of Beatle fame as a weapon. The FBI opened a file on him, tailed him, looked for any excuse to deport him. Only a bullet finally shut him up. 6. For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield.
What it is ain't exactly clear.
Mid-60s. Kids ditch the mushy love songs and flip the radio to rebellion and psychedelia. Out in LA, the Sunset Strip is popping off, but the cops aren't having it. Curfews get slapped down, protests erupt.
There's a man with a gun over there.
Stephen Stills watches the riot squads line up, kids facing them down, tension ready to snap, and in 20 minutes he writes For What It's Worth, the perfect snapshot of that generation clash. It wasn't officially banned everywhere, but tons of stations forgot to play it. Too political, too tied to riots, exactly why it existed. It became the unofficial soundtrack of the era. Every march, every standoff, every time the kids went toe-to-toe with the man.
Paranoia strikes deep.
Never once mentions Vietnam or drugs. It's universal. Just that feeling of being on the wrong side of the baton for daring to ask questions. 5. Light My Fire by The Doors.
Come on, baby, light my fire.
Anybody who lived through it knows Jim Morrison was walking danger. Not because he punched people, because of the way he looked at you, the way he sang, those dark lyrics that hinted at way more than most folks were ready for. Light My Fire is 7 minutes of pure flame, sexy, hypnotic, and enough to make censors sweat. Ed Sullivan makes the same mistake he made with the Stones, tells them to change the "girl we couldn't get much higher" line. Morrison says, sure, in rehearsal. Live on air? Stares dead into the camera and sings the original words. Never invited back. Stations banned it outright. But it wasn't just the drug line, it was Jim. The way he moved, the way he closed his eyes like the rest of the world disappeared. The Lizard King could freak out an entire square America without even trying. 4. Come Together by the Beatles. The 60s are winding down, the Beatles are quietly breaking up, and nobody knows it yet. One of their last great anthems is Come Together, Trouble from the Jump. Lennon originally wrote it as a campaign song for Timothy Leary, the LSD guru running for governor of California. When that fell apart, he turned the slogan into this swampy, weird masterpiece. The BBC's reason for banning it? Brace yourself. They banned it because it mentioned Coca-Cola. No, seriously, product placement rules. Chuck Berry later sued because the opening riff sounded too much like his You Can't Catch Me. Not moral censorship, but it still kept the song tangled up in court. End of an era. The Beatles weren't cute anymore, they were weird, Eastern, mystical, and the old guard hated it. Come Together laughed in their face. Hit subscribe if you want a part 2, we've got plenty more band classics. 3. Society's Child by Janis Ian.
Face is clean and shining black as night.
How does a 15-year-old girl sing stuff grown adults are too scared to whisper? That's the true story of Janis Ian. Society's Child is a gut punch about an interracial teenage romance getting crushed by racism. Simple story, devastating delivery. In the 60s, that was dynamite.
Now I could understand your tears and your shame.
23 record labels turned it down flat. Too controversial, nobody'll play it, career killer. When it finally came out, the death threats rolled in. To Janis, her family, any station brave enough to spin it. Down south, it was outright banned. Up north stations just forgot it existed. Easier to stay out of the crosshairs.
One of these days I'm gonna stop my listening, gonna...
Then Leonard Bernstein heard it and put her on national TV. One night, a teenager sang about racism so raw it broke hearts coast to coast. The song exploded. We're still talking about it. 2. Sky Pilot by the Animals. Vietnam's at its ugliest, and Eric Burdon and the Animals aren't staying quiet. They drop a 7-minute epic about the hypocrisy of war. 2 parts. First, the chaplain blessing the troops before battle. Second, the same chaplain blessing the bodies afterward. In the middle, gunfire, bombs, chaos. Message received loud and clear. Military chaplains lost their minds. Religious groups called it blasphemous. How dare they question God's role in war? Vietnam vets coming home heard it and just nodded. They'd seen those chaplains, gotten those blessings, learned the hard way prayers don't stop bullets.
In the morning they return with tears in their eyes.
Raw power wrapped in protest, exactly why it terrified the establishment. 1. Born to be Wild by Steppenwolf. We close this ride with the song that basically defined a generation. Steppenwolf bottled pure rebellion in 3 minutes of thunder. From the title on down, it screamed freedom, no destination, no rules, just open road and wind in your hair. One throwaway line changed music forever. Heavy metal thunder. First time those 2 words ever sat together in a song, they accidentally named an entire genre that was about to explode. The Suits hated everything about it, the attitude, the speed, the idea you could just ride off and leave society in the dust. Dangerous stuff. But in garages, muscle cars, and basement parties, it never stopped playing. It was the soundtrack for everybody who refused to live like their parents told them to. And damn, we got the message loud and clear. That's our trip through the forbidden airwaves, y'all. We'll drop another list of old school bangers right here if you want to keep the nostalgia rolling. Catch you on the next one.